Unacceptable Solutions, the truth about the combustible cladding crisis in Australia and what it means for property owners. Written and presented by Michael Tees.
As horrible as it was, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the deadly Grenfell fire of 2017 was a one-off, and that the product giving rise to it relatively new. Neither statement could be further from the truth. The cladding crisis has its origins in Germany in the 1960s, when aluminium panels were used to sandwich a polyethylene core material to make bed mattress support panels. Other uses for what have become known as aluminium composite panels, or ACP, were soon found, including using it as a substitute for masonry for covering the external walls of buildings. ACP is lightweight, easy to cut and bend, and of course less expensive than the alternatives. It is also shiny and became terribly fashionable. There's just one problem. According to fire engineers, 1 square metre of ACP burns like 5.5 litres of petrol. And somehow, 50 years later, this deadly product covers buildings worldwide, including residential high-rises. The fires have begun, and people are losing their lives, and others their minds with worry. To borrow from the midnight oil anthem for Aboriginal land rights, how do we sleep while our beds are burning? To find out just how deadly this product is, I studied more than 60 cladding fires worldwide, and can conclude that death by cladding is certainly not a one-off event. In fact, over 1 in 5 of the 60 reported cladding fires from 1990 to 2020 resulted in fatalities. 13 of the 60 fires reported have resulted in a total of 189 deaths worldwide to date, including 17 in Dusseldorf in 1996, 58 lives lost in Shanghai in 2010, 16 in Azerbaijan in 2015, and 72 in the London Grenfell fire of 2017. 40% of the fires have resulted in injuries, the total injured number 443 from 24 of the 60 fires. The most fires have occurred in the United Arab Emirates, where there have been 17 fires in the last 30 years, including, incredibly, one building called the Torch that has burnt twice. Europe has had 13 fires, and China has had 8. Australia has had just 2. Perhaps it is the way and the speed with which ACP fires spread that the property damage toll is as bad as it is. On average, 19 floors have been damaged in each fire where property damage figures have been available. The La Crosse fire in Melbourne damaged 15 floors in just 18 minutes. To be fair, the fires I have studied are those reported in the press and may have a bias towards English-speaking media and more serious fires. There is more work to be done by academics in this area to discover the extent and any evident trends of the fires. In the way of these things, hardheads will argue that these numbers are insignificant compared to the extensive use of the product and the relatively high cost of remediation. Removal and replacement can cost anywhere between $20,000 to $100,000 per apartment, depending on how much of the product has been used, how it has been fixed, and the access requirements for its removal. To that very pragmatic economic argument, residents with combustible cladding might say, "What price do you put on my life?" The relatives and friends of those who died in Grenfell Towers can answer that question. There, the installation of combustible cladding, rather than non-combustible cladding, reportedly saved £293,000. That's a price of just £4,069 or $7,209.50 for each of the 72 that died. How do you sleep knowing that?
Fix My Strata is brought to you by Alspec, Australia's leading aluminium systems specialists. The information featured in this video is general in nature and does not constitute legal, insurance or financial advice. The information should not be relied upon as advice to be applied in any factual situation. Before making any legal, insurance or financial decisions, you should consult a licensed professional in your state or territory who can advise you whether or not your decision is appropriate for you. Michael Tees has commercial arrangements with Alspec and other companies and service providers mentioned and featured on fixmystrata.com.au.